Drama, tension, star power, rivalry, and a plot twist that nobody, absolutely nobody, could have seen coming. Most matches give you one or two of these, but the 2008 Champions League final, it delivered every single one of them, all at once. It all went down in the freezing cold of Moscow, yet the fire that burned that night was hotter than anything football had seen all year. The biggest names on the planet were on a collision course, and this wasn't just a match. This was a war, a story that football would still be talking about decades later. Fans came in expecting chaos. Experts predicted a battle. Players showed up ready for war. But even then, the night managed to exceed every single one of those expectations and carved itself permanently into the memory of football fans all over the world. The moment Manchester United and Chelsea were confirmed as the two finalists for the 2008 Champions League final, fireworks went off, and not just in Moscow, but across the entire football world. This was the first all-English final in the history of the competition, and it was no ordinary clash. This was the biggest rivalry in English football of the 21st century, finally colliding on the grandest stage of them all. United had been here twice before, but for Chelsea, this was their very first Champions League final. Yet the London side showed no signs of being newcomers. They had the confidence, the quality, and the belief that they belonged right there. Look anywhere on that pitch and you'd find a world-class name staring back at you. On the red side, you had Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, Carlos Tevez, and Paul Scholes. And in the blue corner stood Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba, Michael Ballack, and Claude Makelele. The entire world had its eyes locked on Moscow that night. It was red versus blue, but by the end of it, one side would be painting the town red and the other would simply be feeling blue. For this epic showdown, Sir Alex Ferguson stuck with his trusted 4-4-2 formation, while Avram Grant opted for a 4-3-3 setup. But the most fascinating tactical decision of the night was handing Michael Essien the right back role, with the enormous task of keeping Cristiano Ronaldo quiet. Did he manage it? You'll find out soon enough. From the very first moments, it was crystal clear. This game was not going to be boring. Within the opening 5 minutes, Owen Hargreaves tested Peter Cech from outside the box, but the goalkeeper was sharp and dealt with it comfortably. Moments later, Hargreaves headed away a cross that was meant for Ronaldo, leaving the Portuguese star visibly irritated, though he quickly shook it off and got back to doing what he does best. In the 16th minute, Ronaldo tormented Essien down the left side and whipped a brilliant cross into the Chelsea box, but it sailed just a little too high for Hargreaves. The opening exchanges belonged entirely to United, and they looked like the only team capable of breaking the deadlock. Chelsea did make their presence felt in the 23rd minute, though it was very nearly a United player who scored for them. Lampard's cross was aimed at Drogba, but Vidic got in the way and almost turned it into his own net, with Van der Sar already committed. It was a lucky escape for United, and they wasted no time getting back on the front foot. In the 26th minute, they went for the throat. Paul Scholes dragged two Chelsea defenders all the way to the corner flag, played a sharp 1-2 with Wes Brown, and the fullback delivered a delicious cross into the Chelsea box. Ronaldo rose above Essien, climbed highest, and powered a perfect header into the back of the net. Cech had absolutely no chance. He was rooted to the spot, watching helplessly as the ball flew past him. It was Ronaldo's first ever Champions League final, and he had already stolen the headlines inside the first quarter of an hour. The Ballon d'Or looked like it already had his name on it, but what came later was an entirely different story, because this same man would come dangerously close to destroying everything for himself and his team. For now, though, he remained the Ronaldo the world knew, brilliant, relentless, and unstoppable. Chelsea, to their credit, refused to buckle. In the 27th minute, Ballack tried his luck from distance, nothing to write home about. But in the 33rd minute, Lampard floated another dangerous cross into the United box. Drogba headed it down, and Ballack was inches away from squeezing it past Van der Sar, but the Dutchman stood firm and kept it out, with Scholes mocking mopping up the loose ball. That was the closest Chelsea had come, but they were about to get even closer. First, though, United launched another attack. In the 34th minute, Rooney slipped Ronaldo in behind, who brought the ball down beautifully and whipped across into the box. Tevez met it with a diving header. Cech saved. Terry cleared, but the ball only found Carrick at the edge of the box. He fired at goal. Cech was there again. The Czech keeper was rapidly becoming Chelsea's most important player on the night. 3 minutes before half-time, Rio Ferdinand brought Lampard down right on the edge of the box. Free kick. Ballack stepped up and sent it flying over the crossbar. At this point, everyone was fully expecting United to head into the break with the lead intact, but Chelsea had one more trick up their sleeve. A loose ball dropped to Essien deep in midfield. It was from miles out, but he hit it anyway. The shot deflected off Vidic, then off Ferdinand, and landed perfectly in the path of a charging Frank Lampard, who slid it calmly into the back of the net. Right on the stroke of half-time, Chelsea had drawn level, and the entire complexion of the contest had changed in an instant. United walked off looking deflated. Chelsea walked off buzzing with energy and belief. Both sides emerged for the second half with one intention: finish this early. Ronaldo returned for the second half with the kind of hunger that told you he wasn't done yet. In the 54th minute, Ronaldo picked out Evra with a lovely pass, giving the Frenchman enough room to deliver a good cross, but nobody got on the end of it, and the ball went out for a Chelsea throw. Now it was Essien's turn to get his own back. In the 55th minute, he led a Chelsea counter-attack himself, used a shoulder barge and a sharp turn to completely remove Ronaldo from the equation and took possession. His only problem was that the ball was on his weaker foot with no support around him. He pulled the trigger anyway and blazed it over the crossbar. Minutes later, Lampard sent Ashley Cole away down the left, and the fullback whipped a cross in for Drogba, but Vidic dropped low and cleared his lines. In the 58th minute, Chelsea came knocking again. This time, Ballack had another go from long range, well off target. But in the 78th minute, Drogba's curling effort was genuinely frightening. It beat Van der Sar, but the woodwork came to United's rescue. That was the closest anyone had come to winning the game in the entire second half. Drogba came close again minutes later, getting on the end of a Makelele cross under heavy pressure from Vidic, but he couldn't make anything of it. At this point, it really did feel like a tale of two halves. United had owned the first. Chelsea had dominated the second. United did make one late push. Tevez fired from outside the box in the 82nd minute, but it drifted just wide. No late heroics this time, unlike 1999. The game was heading to extra time, and honestly, nobody minded one bit. This match had been so entertaining that more football was the last thing anyone was going to complain about. More often than not, big games that go to extra time become cautious, nervy affairs, neither side willing to overcommit and throw everything away so late in the contest. But this was United and Chelsea. These two clubs despised each other far too much for that. Not losing simply wasn't good enough. They both wanted to win. Just 4 minutes into extra time, Lampard almost put Chelsea ahead. He received the ball from Ballack inside the box, turned sharply and lashed it goalwards. Once again, Van der Sar was beaten. Once again, the woodwork saved United. It was really starting to feel like destiny had already chosen a winner. In the 100th minute, Ryan Giggs had an effort, but John Terry headed it clear. Then, with extra time nearly done, came one of the strangest moments of the entire night. Chelsea knocked the ball out of play to allow some of their players to receive treatment. Fair play dictated that United return possession to Chelsea, but Tevez had other ideas. He threw the ball deep into Chelsea's defensive half and signalled for his teammates to press and try to steal a late winner. Chelsea's players were furious. Terry and Ballack were first to confront him. Then the rest of the Chelsea squad joined in. United's players rushed in to protect Tevez, and suddenly there was a full-blown brawl unfolding on the pitch. Drogba initially stepped in as the peacemaker, trying to keep things from boiling over, but he was provoked. The assistant referee caught what the main official had missed. Drogba had slapped Vidic across across the face. Red card. He became only the second player in European Cup or Champions League final history to be sent off, after Arsenal's Jens Lehmann 2 years prior. For Chelsea, it was a devastating blow. Drogba was one of their primary penalty takers, and now he was gone. Would they miss him? You were about to find out. The penalty shootout began. Tevez stepped up first and sent Cech the wrong way. Goal. Ballack walked up for Chelsea and slotted his kick with real confidence. Level. Carrick then sent Cech diving the wrong way again. Giuliano Belletti replied for Chelsea, cool and clinical. It was starting to look like no one was going to miss. Then came the moment the whole world had been waiting for. Cristiano Ronaldo walked up to the spot. He picked up the ball, gave it a gentle kiss. Every single person watching assumed it was a formality, that United were about to go 3-2 up. But Cech wasn't buying the staggered run for a single second. He kept his eyes glued to the ball and produced an absolutely brilliant save. The first miss of the shootout. Nobody would have called that. Of all the people to miss the first penalty, nobody would have said Cristiano Ronaldo. But it happened. And when Lampard stepped up and buried his kick to give Chelsea the advantage, it felt like Ronaldo had single-handedly blown United's chances of a third Champions League title and his own shot at the Ballon d'Or. Owen Hargreaves, Ashley Cole and Nani all converted their kicks, bringing the shootout to 4-4, with Chelsea needing just one more to become champions of Europe. Drogba would normally have been the man for this moment, but he was already in the dressing room, so captain John Terry stepped up. A centre-back, yes, but a man who knew how to strike a football. Surely he could do this. Moscow was soaked in rain. Terry took his run-up and slipped at the exact moment he went to connect with the ball. Cech went the wrong way, but the ball clipped the inside of the post and stayed out. When all hope seemed lost, United had been handed a lifeline. Sudden death. Anderson, Koo and Giggs all converted. Then up stepped Nicolas Anelka, a striker, a Champions League winner himself, carrying the entire weight of London on his shoulders, with the trophy on the line. But under that enormous pressure, he sent the ball straight into the arms of Edwin van der Sar, and Manchester United were crowned European champions for the third time. John Terry and Didier Drogba, two men who had blue blood running through their veins, could not believe that they had, between them, cost their club what would have been their first ever European trophy. On the other side, Cristiano Ronaldo could barely process the fact that he had come so close to costing his own team on the biggest night of their season, but the stars had aligned for him in the end. And despite that colossal penalty miss, he was voted the fans' man of the match and went on to be named the best player in the world in 2008.